That's assuming that you're looking to do one type of sort of financial crime prevention here, but actually you're not. There's multiple different typologies and bad actors and innocent victims out there, whether you're talking about first party fraud, synthetic identities, or account takeover scenarios. They might be using the same data for a completely different set of circumstances within that channel. And then you're saying, how do I tie together my branch or my teller activity with my call center activity, with what's a good person typically does on their phone versus what a bad actor typically does on maybe multiple phones? And how does that tie together from a real business understanding? And anyone who's worked within a bank or a financial services institution will know getting the detailed understanding, breaking down the misconceptions that other departments have of that data is really where you're going to start to see the value. If I had a cyber expert with me today, an AML expert with me today, and a fraud expert with me today, and we talked about convergence risk, almost certainly they would have preconceptions and different conclusions of how it should work. So for me, the biggest challenge is getting everyone on the same page. People don't want to be lectured about how to stop fraud. They want to be given the tools so they can stop fraud themselves. The people who work in fraud are incredibly smart and intuitive individuals, and they're passionate about what they do. They want to be empowered, not restricted by the way the vendor is dictating how the system should work. If someone has to learn the inner workings of 5 systems, then it's more complex. And will they have the opportunity to do that? That you know as well as anyone that the demands placed on people who work in fraud and financial crime is intensive. They're busy people and they don't have time to take a step backwards and understand. So you need a system, you need a mechanism in place that takes that pain away from you. That doesn't necessarily mean swapping out the 5 systems that you have in place for one super system overnight, but it means taking the right next step towards that understanding, towards removing that internal friction from your day-to-day work in how you approach the challenge of managing all of those steps. The best score in the world will tell you this is bad. You should definitely stop that. But when an investigator looks at it, they'll be looking and going, I've got no idea. My process tells me to do these 10 checks. I'm going to do those 10 checks. I'm then going to rely on my business insights and experience to do the additional deep dive I need to do. And that might take 10, 15 minutes to work through that process. And they still might get to the key bit of information that the score or the model was trying to infer to them. So you've got to have something that considers the full fraud investigation process, but also where that sits within the customer journey. Because if you're taking 15 minutes to investigate something, that might be fine if you're talking about an application process that is for a mortgage or for a really substantive loan. But it's probably not okay for if you want to open a new credit card online and do a balance transfer if you're going to cause that level of friction. That's an incredibly competitive marketplace with balance transfer rates and go-to-market rates, where if you've introduced 15 minutes of pain for a customer, they could have applied to a competitor in 5 minutes and already have that account opened. So you've really got to make sure that if you are interdicting, it's data-led and explainable. And it really considers all of the impacts on the back of what could be just putting in a very simple rule to a legacy system.